Welcome back, everyone, to the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast. We're on our new show today. We're on the Talk of the League podcast. So it's going to be a show either once or twice a week, just talking general Premier League chit-chat, talking not only the top six and the big teams, but the little teams as well, and just everything to do with the best league in the world. I've got two fantastic guests on tonight. We've got Steve McGrath, who you'll be used to seeing on the channel from the London Lowdown, things like that. And we also have Adam Matic from Adam Matic TV as well. So I'm just going to come to each of the guests. They're going to tell you a little bit about themselves. So Steve, do you want to tell them a little bit about sort of yourself, what you've done on this channel, what you do in general?
Yeah, so in general, before lockdown was a DJ. I currently host a drive time show on Pure Radio. It's at Pure Radio Tip, 4 to 7 Monday to Friday each day. But we're good pals with Keane, who founded the channel, and would have worked with him and things like that. So kind of got involved with it from the get-go, and then the odd show here and there, and then the London Lowdown obviously as well, from a Spurs point of view.
Perfect. And on that Spurs side of things, what would you give this season, sort of the season pass, sort of out of 10? Where do you think the highs and the lows were? Where do you think you can improve going forward?
If you look at the season and we weren't actually like a million miles off, we'll say, like even top four wise in the end. It's all, I know, like there's ifs, buts or maybes, but when you look back on the season and see a couple of like stupid individual errors that threw away 3 points late in the game, they add up. But I guess the season was overshadowed by Jose getting the boot. I still don't think it was the right decision. I don't think he was the right man for Spurs, but I think the timing of it was awful, to be honest. Look, it's the last couple of seasons have been very difficult from a Tottenham perspective. I mean, it's definitely the most like disassociated I felt in like 30 odd years supporting the club. I was a fan of Spurs during like the Jerry Francis and like Christian Gross eras and that, you know. But it was just, I think at board level, the decisions over the last couple of years, they've just been so far removed from what the fans want. And I see parallels across an awful lot of clubs, but I just think to the level at which it's taking place at Tottenham is just far worse. Especially like if you look at the I suppose how everybody like gravitated towards Pochettino. I've never had that connection to a manager at the club. Maybe Harry Redknapp, but he's hard not to like, you know.
Yeah.
But Pochettino absolutely deserved the rebuild that he wanted. Daniel Levy kind of chickened out of it and felt if he got a different coach in to try and coach the same players that we had, that would work out. So he, instead of the rebuild, he's like spent, I think it was like 12 million or so paying off Pochettino, got Mourinho in on a 15 million a year contract, then sacked him and paid him off, and now has to do the rebuild anyway. Do you know?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think myself and Adam especially could sympathise with you on the boardroom making decisions that are far removed from what the fans want. So Adam, come yourself. Do you want to tell the people a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your channel, and then what did you think of United's season overall?
Yeah, as a season ticket holder at United, home and away, my sort of social media side started with the fan cams, and people actually thought I actually talk sense. You got to know me a little bit better, and now I have a few haters. So you can't please everyone, can you? But yeah, no, I built my channel. Yes, heaven forbid you add sarcasm to any comment on Twitter. Oh my god. Anyway, I sort of just built my social media platform from there. Built it up over the last couple of years now. Just creeping up to 20,000 subscribers on my own channel, which is really well pleasing. Everyone actually is just likes a little bit of straightforward talking. I just say it as it is. I'm not one who's an Ollie inner. I'm not one who's an Ollie outer. That has been brought up plenty of times this season, simply because of what has happened to this football club this season. And I think the underlying feeling of all United fans, even if you are one of these hardcore, live and breathe Man United, never say a bad thing about the club, deep down they're just thinking the season was okay. We finished second. It is progression from last year, as much as it pains me to say that. But we're all looking ahead to next year, because it feels like next year is the ultimate test. It really is. The fans are back. Teams around us will be in a better position. They'll be a lot more stronger. And this season that's passed has been a weird one. It's drained the life out of me, I'm not going to lie. It really has been probably the worst season I've ever had to endure as a United fan. And that's not just the football, it's the sheer having to sit at home and watch every single game, because I'm just not used to that. That's not my match day experience normally. Yeah. And a season and a bit of that has just drained the life out of me. And it's just got a bit too much with game after game after game. I sort of fell out of love a little bit for it this season, in all honesty. I'm looking forward to the Euros now, fans being back in, and the build up to next season. Everything just points to next season for us. It really does. I can't take this season too seriously because of everything that's gone down. There's no way in any Premier League history gone by, any season gone by, that them top 6 teams have that home form. Because every single one of them, it has been absolutely shocking. United, City, Leicester, Liverpool. Man, how long was it since for them to win again? It just doesn't feel normal. No. And that's why I'm looking forward to next season more. I mean, I'm happy with the position. I needed that trophy. That really let me down. I think we're all still trying to get over that right now. But honestly, it's all pointing to next season. This is why this summer is absolutely massive for, I think, a lot of Premier League clubs, not just United. A lot of clubs are really going to have to either chance spending a bit of money that they probably haven't got in hope that they can recoup it in terms of actually progressing in the league, or they just stick with what they've got and hopefully the manager pulls through for them. Because we've seen a lot of manager changes now. Even Wolves have had enough. Solidifying Premier League football. See you later. It's not good enough for them anymore. So expectations are up for every single club. And next season, I think I could not predict it. I really couldn't. It's going to be a crazy one again. But I don't think the players and the managers will get away with half as much as what they've got away with this season. I really don't.
That's been a massive element, absolutely. I think, Adam, for Spurs especially. Like, I think the board and like Mourinho especially, I think, like, got away with one for so long because, like, can you just imagine the toxicity that would have been in the stadium? 60,000 fans, you know. And like when you said about like the match day experience, like I get you, because like the last 2 games I was at the very last would say full capacity game at Spurs. We lost 3-2 to Wolves. That was on a Sunday, and on the Wednesday before it, I'd been at the 1-0 loss to RB Leipzig, Champions League. So I'm off the back of 2 losses, like, so I'm itching to just get back to a game now and hopefully get on the end that losing streak.
No, absolutely. These are both spot on. I feel like that, especially the games that come to mind from a Man United point of view, in terms of us maybe playing at that sort of half level because there was no fans. Pretty much every big game, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, earlier in the season, strike me as games that there was maybe games there that were there for the taking, points there that could have been won, important points that would have been, and maybe with a full crowd in there, then there could have been something different. But no, you're absolutely spot on. It all points towards next season. Has to be. A lot of clubs got away with it, and Adam, you're completely spot on as well. There's going to be a lot of money that has to be spent, whether clubs have it or not, because they can't risk teams running away with it, and a lot of teams fighting for survival as well. So it's definitely going to be interesting. Now, I know we said with this show it wasn't just going to be the big teams, but because it's pre-season and stuff like that, we're going to speak a little bit about the big stories. And right now in the last week, the 2 biggest stories have been Manchester United and Tottenham based. In the season, there'll be more on the smaller teams and things like that as well. So we're actually going to come to Steve first of all to talk about Tottenham's managerial situation. Now, you've obviously sacked Jose Mourinho. You've now sacked or parted ways, sorry, with Ryan Mason as well. I don't think anyone was under the impression that he was going to be kept on.
Well, he's gone back to his previous role at the under-18s.
Has he?
So.
Has he? Fantastic. Right. Okay, no problem. Yeah. So he's gone back to that role. Hopefully he does really well. I quite like Ryan Mason. I wanted him to do well, but I don't know whether I wanted him to beat Man City because it was Man City or whether I wanted to see him do well. So yeah, in terms of our managerial situation, Steve, what do you think happens? Who do you think's? We all know the names that have been linked, but who would you like to see come in, and with who is linked? What do you think are the issues?
I was hesitant about the whole Conte thing at first because, like, if you look back to our history of former Chelsea managers with AVB and with Jose, I had obvious reservations about that. But then, like, the more and more I thought about it, and seeing he'd 5 titles in 7 seasons, and it's like then I was absolutely sold on it, and every journalist that you could trust in terms of Spurs news were saying it's done. Even like Alistair Gold, who would be probably the most reliable one, said barring a disaster, Conte will be the next Tottenham manager. And lo and behold, it's funny. Like, the conspiracy theory is the links were there for 3 days, right? Those two of those 3 days were the final 2 days of the season ticket renewal window. Right. And the deal itself then collapsed the day after the season ticket renewal window was closed. So there's a theory there that maybe the club tried to get it out that we're going to get Conte in, so people go, oh, Conte, nice one, I'll definitely renew now, you know.
Yeah.
But even still, like, the rumours then of why he's turned us down, there was an interview today where he said that he's not in it for money, and that he wants an interesting project that appeals to him, and if it doesn't feel right, he'd rather sit at home. So, like, that speaks volumes, and I think it's quite embarrassing for Spurs that we couldn't get him. And then you look to who we were trying to get then. So Ten Hag from Ajax. Again, I think we were never going to get him because Ajax triggered that extension in his contract, and we would have to pay out for that. It's just I think after the whole Conte thing, because everybody was up here thinking this is it. Okay, look, we're going to get sorted now because Conte has a track record of getting rid of dead wood and bringing in top players.
Yeah.
And now that passed, anything after that was going to be quite underwhelming. But the Fonseca news is just like way more underwhelming. It's just like, I know he wasn't sacked from Roma. I get that he ended his contract and wasn't renewed, but like, he finished 7th. You know, we finished 7th in the Premier League. Like, he finished 7th in Serie A. Like, what kind of, like, I know, say it's
a manager swap.
yeah. But I guess, look, I know it's I'm trying to find the right word here. Like, when I say, like, what's he done to earn the right to the Spurs job? But I guess at the same time, what have Spurs done to earn the right to have a top manager come in? A lot of United
fans would be using them exact words right about now. Believe me.
Yep.
So I guess, like, but and at first, like, I mean, like, I shared a tweet this morning. There's like almost like 300 or so likes on it now. Is that like am I happy with the news that Fonseca will be the manager? No, but will I back him? Yeah. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Will I be more than happy this time next year to, like, retweet all my own tweets about how reserved I was about him if he actually does well? Absolutely. Yeah. Because, like, worst case scenario, if I'm wrong, is that the club is successful.
Yeah.
You know, but it's just, I guess I would like the club to have had more ambition in terms of who we brought in. Will I take Poch back? Yes, but not yet. Like, the problem at Spurs was that he asked for a rebuild, and the problem with Spurs is that we have the worst mentality you could possibly have at a club, which is hold what you have. We're terrible. Like, I've probably said this about 7 or 8 times on this podcast or on this channel before, but the best thing about Alex Ferguson was he always knew when to move on a player.
Yeah.
Didn't matter who it was. Never mattered. It was like Yap Stam, David Beckham, whoever it was. It didn't matter. He just knew it was time. And like, but what we've done is we've given like Moussa Sissoko 3, 4, 5 year contracts. We extended Eric Lamella's contract. Like he's missed 2.5 seasons worth of football.
Yeah.
Like like with injuries. Ben Davies, Eric Dyer. Like we aspire to be a club that's like in say the Big Six, but how many other clubs in the Big Six would take most of our squad? You know, there was a stat when we played Leicester towards the end of the season, the last game of the season, that the season that Leicester won the title, they have like I think 3 players left in the squad, 4 maybe. But like that's in their squad. But like we had 6 players starting that were around in that same season.
Yeah,
do you know? So it's not healthy for any club. Like I mean, it works on rotation and it works on just moving players on, freshening it up, and we're so stale. And it's not even a case of say if you look at some of the players there, like it's not even a case of maybe that they're bad players. It's just they've run their course at Tottenham. So I guess look with Fonseca again last season. If you look at Roma and you say, geez, yeah, I mean like 7th, but I mean like he had a front 3 of like say like Mkhitaryan, Dzeko, like Pedro. They're all like in their 30s, you know.
Yeah.
At the same time, we brought in a director of football. We have been screaming for a director of football at Spurs for so long because we want Daniel Levy to move away from the football side of things. Like credit where it's due, he is a brilliant businessman. Right, but the problem with him is that he thinks that he can just directly translate that into football dealings, and he just can't. And it's been terrible for so long for us. So the director of football that's coming in is very highly regarded. Paratisi coming from Juventus, like he's apparently the one that said he wants Fonseca in, and like he's the guy that was responsible for Conte at Juventus. You know. And if you look at when Conte got the job at Juventus, I mean, he'd only managed like Siena, Atalanta, Bari. He'd actually gotten relegated down to Serie B and back up again, you know, and then he got the job. But then like his first season with Juventus, he went unbeaten.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, so the biggest test for me for the new manager that comes in and this director of football is who do we get rid of, not who we sign. I want to see the likes of Dyer, Sanchez, Winks, Aurier, Sissoko, Lamela. They have to go. You know, it's just they're so average. Like I mean, there isn't a club in the top 10 that will probably have them in their starting 11. Do you know?
Yeah,
what I mean?
obviously,
we have regularly.
Obviously, United have been somewhat linked to Harry Winks in the last sort of couple of weeks, so I hope that doesn't happen. But
there's nothing in that. There's not
a chance. Not a chance. No. You're definitely right, though. It does feel like Spurs now, especially next season, even disregarding who you get in, it feels like a really big season for them in terms of the squad. I don't think they can really afford that squad to get 1 year older, and you're absolutely right, it is getting stale. Quick thing on Fonseca, I think he's okay. I just think he made a couple of errors at Roma, disregarding results. He fielded an ineligible player and ended up having to lose a game 3-0 at the start of the season. He made 6 substitutes instead of the allotted 5.
He went to a press conference dressed as Zorro when he was at Shakhtar Donetsk.
He certainly.
But then again, sometimes you need that little bit of madness as well, like you know. But
absolutely,
like, he has a track record. He's won trophies. Like he when he went to Shakhtar, like they hadn't won a trophy in for ages. Like and then for 2 years, I think, and he went and won it 3 in a row. You know, like, when we signed Pochettino, he'd won nothing.
Yeah,
you know, so
it'll be interesting to see. Definitely, even if you get him in, hopefully the die isn't cast very early from Spurs fans, and they give him a chance. Adam, coming at it from more of a neutral point of view, certainly myself, I thought this would be the conversation Man United fans would be having after 6 weeks of last season. I had a feeling that it was going to be always time to go, maybe looking at a new coach and looking at someone like a Conte or a Pochettino or someone to come in. But we're not here. We're not in that position. We're, as you said, somewhat okay. From a more neutral point of view, what are your opinions on the Spurs situation? Who do you think should come in? Fonseca, anyone like that?
I mean, when I first heard the Conte rumours and I heard Spurs fans getting excited, I was, no disrespect, I couldn't help but laugh. That is the worst combination ever in terms of management and chairman, CEO, whatever you want to call it. We all know why Conte left into Milan. It was quite clear. The purse strings were tightening. Things weren't going well. He likes his big wage. He likes his money to spend. He likes to have free reign. He's a very difficult man to please. And you ain't going to get that at Spurs. You're really not going to get that at Spurs. We know that. For me, looking at it from the outside, I think Spurs probably look, well, they're not as bad as Arsenal, which is one thing. But both North London clubs really are in a real, I think they're in a tight spot. I think COVID hit Spurs worse than probably any Premier League club at the top. New stadium, everything's set up for the NFL and things like that. Luckily, that's all coming back now. There's rumours that the Joshua Usyk fight is coming back on as well. And Spurs need to start earning a bit of money. And hopefully fans coming back start generating money and we can see some form of like normality coming back for all clubs. I think Spurs need that more than anyone because the amount of money that clubs have missed out on with no fans being in the stadium is just astronomical. And any manager coming in still wants the big wage, still wants money to spend. And it's like Steve said there, I mean, this Spurs squad has been going for a long time now. United fans are moaning about our current crop not winning anything in 4 years. But we do have quite a young team. Adding a few touches of experience to our team, I think we've got a better chance, even though I'm still getting pissed off with our team at the moment and I'm failing all the time.
Yeah.
I think Spurs are probably in that horrible situation where they've got Harry Kane waiting around. They've got no manager. They need to get it settled in because the Euros start. And then we come back, the end of July? It's a short pre-season. There's a lot to sort out at Spurs' club before any manager comes in. And can you imagine if everything is unsettled, any one of these big players gets an injury in the Euros, and then Spurs set off bad at the start of the season? The pressure on that man who's come in is just going to be immense. It's just going to be a lot to handle. And it's like Steve said, the players that he had on the list there to send out. I mean, our club's in exactly the same position. I just think our club is just, our squad is massive. So I think it's a little bit easier for us. I don't know if Spurs have got any talent that's out on loan coming back. I don't know of anyone, to be honest.
Yeah, we've, one fight, Villarreal. You might remember him.
Yeah.
Ryan Sessegnon was at Hoffenheim all season as well. And he
a pretty good season. He's a forgotten man, isn't he? It's weird.
Oliver Skip was in the championship team of the year with Norwich, and Norwich Twitter just absolutely idolise the guy. So I think he will be a good player. I think he'll be what we thought Harry Winks would be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't actually know what Spurs' expectation is for next season. I couldn't call it. I would say at the moment, Europa League is where Spurs would be hoping to finish top 6. I don't see them breaking in the top 4 next season simply because of the teams above them in terms of what Chelsea are going to do this summer. That's the one that worries me a little bit. I think City will fall off a little bit in the adaptation of dealing with no spine. It's Fernandinho missing, Aguero missing. As much as they say these other players are good, there is going to be a get used period. I don't think they'll be as strong. I still think they'll be right up there, but there's no way that they're going to run away with it next season by any stretch of the imagination. Liverpool are stronger even without spending. Chelsea, my God, if they get Haaland, then I think we all need to start worrying a little bit.
Yeah, and Leicester look like they're doing very smart business. Yeah,
I mean, everyone would love an Abramovich as an owner. It's just like whatever the manager wants, he goes and gets.
Yeah.
And you look at their size of their squad and the talent that they've got. And I'm looking at Liverpool doing their City. I think United may squeeze into the top 4 unless they really invest. And then you're looking at the rest. And that's where I think Spurs will probably be 5th or 6th.
Yeah.
But whoever comes in, I think that's probably the key. The manager that comes in is probably going to tell you exactly where Spurs are going to finish this season. Because if it's anyone who's not used to the Premier League, I would say, then I think they're going to struggle. I really do. I think they're going to struggle because there's a lot of good teams coming up. I mean, where are West Ham going to finish next season? Leicester are already spending. There's 2 teams there already fighting with them for them 5th and 6th. And I'm not saying this arrogantly, like United are definitely going to finish in the top 4. I do think we will struggle unless we invest. I really do. But the pressure on the Spurs manager's job, the Spurs manager's job position right now, I think is one of the hardest jobs in football. I really do. That's how I see it because of the squad, how it is, the player unrest. Can you sort Dele Alli out? Can you make a player out of him? Is Harry Kane going to stay? I think he will now with everything going on. I don't think he's going to leave. But the sooner the manager comes in, the better because he's got a lot of work to do. I think I'd be surprised if we got to the end of the Euros and Spurs haven't got a new manager in place.
That can't happen.
It cannot happen.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it's done.
Yeah, you'd be so much
you need to have your targets and everything as well, you know. I mean,
exactly.
Like, it's just like there's so many clubs. Like, say, look at Leicester already with the like Samar and Edward. Like, it looks like they're getting those deals done. Even Villa today announced Buendia. Like, there's clubs just getting business done and good business.
Yeah,
you know, like even so if Villa happen to hold on to Grealish this summer. Like they've got Watkins, Grealish, Buendia, and McGinn. Like, I mean, that's really, really good. Like, that's really strong. Like, you know, so like who knows where they could cause trouble next season as well. You know, we need a massive clear out at Spurs, and we also need like some quality as well. I know we're heavily linked. Even Fabrizio Romano was saying for Joachim Anderson. Yep, was on loan at Fulham last season. Like we lack a commanding centre half. Like, you look at Harry Maguire. Like, ye as United fans should know when a ball goes into the box, Maguire's going to meet that with his head.
Yeah, and
you can see that when he doesn't play, ye are very prone to set pieces. You know, we don't have that, and haven't had for quite some time, that commanding centre half that will just come out and just head a ball clear. Just doesn't matter where it goes, it just clears it. Like Eric Dyer, I still believe he's actually a defensive midfielder. I don't think he's a centre half. Toby Alderweireld, him and Vertonghen were the 2 best centre halves in the Premier League for 2 seasons. But his legs are starting to go. He doesn't have the recovery pace that he used to have. Davinson Sanchez, I still think Davinson Sanchez would excel somewhere like La Liga or Serie A. The Premier League, he's just not cut out for it. We paid £42 million for him like 4 seasons ago. You know, that was at a time where like that wasn't really heard of for a centre half, let alone like a guy who Ajax paid 10 million for the year before. Do you know? So we've spent our money over the last few seasons terribly. Like, even if you look at Ryan Sessegnon, like, he had 1 year left on his contract at Fulham. We paid £30 million for him. Like, we signed Jack Clark from Leeds for 10 million. He was on loan at Stoke last season. Giovanni Lo Celso, we paid like 50 million for him. I don't see it. Tanguy Ndombele is a beautiful player on the ball, but I don't think we should have spent the money on him at Spurs. He wasn't what we needed. And I think that like we've been crying out for a Moussa Dembele replacement. And I think the moment he left, even though he only had 60 minutes a game into him, when he played that 60 minutes, he was absolutely unplayable. And we tried to replace him with Ndombele, who just like, I don't want to like give that like lazy tag. Like, his style looks lazy and laboured, but he's a magician on the ball. But he doesn't do what
doesn't do the grunt work. He doesn't do the grunt work that Dembele did. Like, Dembele was so good at winning the ball back and
stuck in. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I've got the answer for you, Steve, mate. Greg, I don't know if you can put up Reese's first message there from the comments, if you've got access on it there. Reese's first one at the top there. That's it.
Now, Pastor Fred should be fine.
You can have him. Take him.
You can.
When I spoke about how bad we spend money, then that makes me feel better.
Yeah.
You're talking about wasting money there, mate. It's like, you get into United, it's like Wow, it's a bottomless pit of wasted money with United. It really
You can see, like, I suppose, look, a lot of rival fans will give United fans an awful lot of a hard time because when you moan about the Glazers and you moan about your board, and then like you look at like just black and white figures and you see, but you've spent like 200 or like $250 million or 300 million, whatever it is, you know. But the point of it is like, and it's the same with Spurs. Like we have spent decent money like recently, but it's on shite, you know. And that's the problem. Like and like. Like the money is in smarter boys because there's nothing more frustrating than seeing, for example, say like Spurs spending 60 million on Ndombele or 50 on Lo Celso, and then you see someone like Leicester bringing in like Tielemans and you know, or Everton pulling up. No,
this is it. It's like it all goes down. I mean, I personally, the way United have done their business, I think is just mind-boggling. I mean, we spend 30 million a year on goalkeepers' wages.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, it's like give your head a wobble. I just cannot figure out how a football club can do that. It's like, how many goalkeepers do you need? You said it yourself there. It's like you spend it all on crap players. It's wasted. 1.3 billion spent since Sir Alex Ferguson left. It should be enough to build the best team in the world.
Yeah.
But I want us to spend 2.5 billion. I want to spend it all. I want all my money being spent on players. I want us to go for the best all the time.
Yeah.
But what we've done is we spent the best money on the crap players. I just thought it's like some of the fees that we've handed out. And it's like people say that, oh, United here negotiating for Sancho and this and that. I'm not looking at that. I said, go and give him the fee. Go give the fee. And people are saying, no, you need to negotiate and this and that. I went, man, my problem isn't about the fees. My problem's about the wages that these crap players are getting. I mean, dear God. It's like
if you look at United when like the Alexis Sanchez, like United signed him because they didn't want City to have him.
Yeah.
It's what it looks like. It's what it looked like. It's like right now we're negotiating Pogba's deal
we only got Fred because City wanted him. We wouldn't have got Fred if City didn't want him. Like
we got bluffed.
Dean Henderson had a good season at Sheffield United, and all of a sudden there was other clubs sniffing around him. So United got like afraid that they might lose him, so they just threw massive money at him. And now you're spending like $500,000 a week on goalkeepers' wages. Like stupid decisions at clubs like that. Like for example, the goalkeeper situation at Spurs a couple of years ago. Like we had say Lloris, Gazzaniga, and Form. So we had like 3 goalkeepers taking up foreign player spots in the squad. We've got Eric Dyer, who's English but counts as a foreign player because he trained up in Portugal. And we've got Ben Davies, who counts as a foreign player in Europe because Wales isn't in England. Do you know? So that was like 5 foreign players in our squad, like with 3 goalkeepers and a Welshman and an Englishman. Do you know, it's that kind of like those kind of things you'd imagine at that elite level. Somebody is there somewhere going, guys, hang on a second.
Yeah.
Do you know?
It seems to be what definitely our 2 clubs are missing is these people at the top that these people like quite clearly Aston Villa and Leicester. Yeah, but quite clearly Aston Villa and Leicester have that. You see every signing that they bring in makes sense. The fact Aston Villa got a free run last season at Ollie Watkins, that should never have happened. There should have been teams all over trying to get Ollie Watkins, but because he came to the Championship and he wasn't a pretty player, people didn't want him. But
elitism, snobbery, mate. That's what it is.
No,
it is. On one of the very first podcasts on the Weekly Armchair channel, like last year, and they asked us like for the one to watch for the season. Like Ollie Watkins was my one to watch for the season. Now he did well, to be fair. I thought he might do a bit better, but still, I mean, like first season in the Premier League. Like I mean, he's 24, 25.
Yeah.
And I think like you look at now, like Ivan Toney. There's no way he should be still in a Brentford shirt next season. You know,
he might give Brentford a go. He might give Brentford a go. I feel like he might do it if Brentford come up, or Brentford have come up. So he might give them a go and see a season, and then he knows he's got a guaranteed move at the end of it. But he's definitely, you segued well into that talking about Man United because as everyone will know, unless you've been living under a rock, it's transfer window time. So that means Jadon Sancho has been linked to Man United again. I've just checked my phone. It seems to be genuinely this stating this is updating every sort of hour and things like that. It seems to be the story is that one bid's gone in today, a lower bid that has been rejected, and the plan is for Man United to come back in with a higher bid very shortly to meet to match more what Dortmund's looking for. And I can see Adam shaking his head there. I said earlier on in the chat, Steve will say this as well, that I don't mind the lower bid at this point in time. What I would mind the low bid if it was a month from now, where we had like 13 days or something like that to meet their deadline. So I'm pretty sure they've said the 23rd of July or something is their deadline. I don't mind the lower bid because Dortmund have to play ball this year. So it's just testing the waters and things like that, which I don't actually mind as much. But yeah, Adam, coming to you. Speaking of Sancho, what do you think of the whole situation? And apart from that, what other signings would you like to see United sort of go for?
It does look like this deal is going to happen this summer. I'm not going to lie. It's still going to annoy me that it's taking so long, but this is just what United do. Last summer we was 20 million short.
Yeah.
In the bid. The value of Sancho has come down 20 million, and this summer somehow we're 20 million short again. So go figure, United economics out with that one. But no, I think it's moved a little bit quicker when the window's open this time, because we know for a fact that the personal terms have agreed, a contract agreed until 2026, and a bid has gone in. That's official. That's in. The people have said that the bid has gone in. The people who we can trust on social media have said it. Let's just say it that way. There's no in the no beds. It's the genuine articles. But I just think I'm hoping that it gets done before they come back. Like I said before, if Ollie's going to have any chance of anything, he needs to have his squad in place. As soon as the Euros is finished, everyone comes back. You know who he's got, you know who's left. And Sancho, I think, will be part of it. He is a problem position for us in that we need a quality right-sided player. I mean, Greenwood has been brilliant in that role.
Yeah, that's because Greenwood's class, though.
The way I look at it, my only issue with the Sancho is we're moaning about this 20 million. It will come to an end when we actually do meet somewhere in the middle. But then I'll just say, well, you've already added 30 million on top of that in Amad Diallo, because now where's he going to play? You spent 30 million on the kid. He's not going to play if Sancho comes in, because Ollie has not got time to integrate players anymore. His time's up. He's had 3 years. He hasn't been able to develop any player, in my opinion. I don't think anyone has totally gone to the next level under Ollie. I think players of their quality have shone for him. They really have. He gets the best out of them in terms of what they want to hear.
Yeah.
In terms of his coaching, I don't think he's made anyone better. And I don't think the coaching staff that he's got are going to help him in any way, shape or form, because all of his coaching staff have little, if not worse experience than he has. And he hasn't got the most. So that's why I don't see any progression in a lot of the players. I think it's natural ability that we have got in abundance, which is sort of keeping us afloat right now. Sancho coming in, where's Greenwood play? Where does Diallo play? Does Greenwood move into the middle? Because Martial's got to come back. Rashford's there. Ole needs to have this all sorted out before the start of the season. Right, I agree. We need the right-hand side, but more importantly, we need the CDM, mate. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
The CDM is pivotal for Man United, because that breaks down on the edge of our box, because we can't pass out from the back. I don't think we've got a good pass in our defence. It's weak. And I just feel like the CDM bails us out a little bit. What's that there? How much will he eventually have to pay?
Say reject.
Yeah, I just don't see us at the moment going for a holding midfielder. There's no rumours. There's nothing out there that's sort of encouraging me.
Yeah.
And it is the worst and single problem that we've got at the football club. It really is. People going about
I cannot believe that you're not.
Yeah.
It baffles me. I see the links for Sancho, and I go, yeah, I get why you would probably want that, and all the fans want Sancho, and have wanted us last year. So
it's not all of us, mate. Not a lot of fans don't want him.
Well,
a lot of fans don't want him.
But the excitement about him is massive. But like United are very, very much okay up top, and they're very much not okay. Like you said, like CDM or like centre half. I think you need someone beside Maguire. I don't think Bailly is that. I don't think Lindelof is that. So I think rather than like concentrate, unless United do have a big kitty, because maybe they had the money from last year that they were expecting to pay for Sancho. They didn't spend plus this summer's budget. But I feel like I think United desperately need someone. Maybe someone like Bissouma from Brighton or something.
Love him. I'd love him. But he's so good.
This is the problem. This is the problem we've got. Bissouma is the right man for United, but not right now, because Ollie's not brave enough to play him. This is a guy who's had his first season in the Premier League, and we're talking about throwing him into a pressure cooker Manchester United team that's still not settled and say, go on, son, you are going to sort all the problems out. He will just melt like everyone else who puts that shirt on.
Because Ollie can't coach him.
Yes, we cannot improve these players. We can't take on a project or a potential. I hate that word. So it's like it's like Paul Torres, for instance.
Yeah.
Looks great. Probably perfect for United, but this season he would probably melt because the pressure is too high. Koundé, exactly the same. If he's not experienced, if he's not Premier League ready, he's not going to be able to adapt to United. And all he's got this season to make it work. It has to be Varane. Varane is the only man that's going to be able to handle that position. The others, I would want them more than Varane. I really would. But if I'm going to back Ollie, I have to say to him, right, Matt, you've got no more time, mate. Get the players in to actually get you in a position to challenge and win a trophy. These players aren't going to do it because we've seen it this season. We had Tellez come in, we had Diallo come in, we had Donny van der Beek come in. I mean, God, we're talking about a guy here who's on the international scene with Holland, who's just come from a Champions League semi-final, playing on the biggest stage, and he can't get in ahead of Fred and McTominay because apparently our coaching staff said he's not ready. And our coaching staff is McKenna, Mike Phelan, Michael Carrick. I've got all respect in the world for Carrick, but he's one who needs to leave and just learn his trade somewhere. He needs to be a Lampard or a Gerrard. He's not going to get any better coaching at Manchester United while Ollie's the manager. Ollie needs to replace all of them with quality, experienced coaches and just say, look, I need a bit of help. Because he's not going to be able to do this on his own. He hasn't got the nous, he hasn't got the experience. And it's not a surprise that he hasn't brought in the big marquee names, because would they play for him? Would they respect him? I don't think they would.
That's just it. Yeah, I thought the same, to be honest, Adam. I thought that like Ollie going in there was just an emotional decision, I think, from the club, based on what he'd done previously. And then it was like, oh, it's actually kind of working. We'll hang on to him. But like, when in terms of like his coaching, that like I highlighted last year as well, I said that it always seemed that it was the experienced players that were carrying United through last season, and it was like the potential talents or the up and coming guys, and that like weren't like playing to the best of their potential or their abilities, and none of them seemed to improve over the course of the season. But yet it was like Cavani, who he knows what he's doing. He doesn't need to be told what to do. Yeah. So he'll play his own game. Like even like Fernandes is 27. Bruno knows what he's doing. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? Harry Maguire knows what he's doing. But then you look at like Wan-Bissaka. Has he lived up to his price tag? No. He hasn't. But he should by now, because he was great at Palace, and but he hasn't taken that next step. And you'd have to imagine it's because of who's around him and who's guiding him. Yeah. So even like say you look at like McTominay, like I really like McTominay. I think he's a good player, but I don't think he's improved at all. Like since he burst onto the scene on the Mourinho, and then like you said, like Van der Beek, I'm absolutely baffled that he hasn't had the opportunity or the chance to show what he can do. Because like, fair enough, I wouldn't have watched much Dutch football, but when you mentioned the Champions League semi-final, I have some fond memories of that. But he was brilliant in both those games against us. Absolutely brilliant. And like I know like Frankie de Jong was there, but like Van der Beek was the one that I actually would have almost like picked over de Jong over those two games. And when United signed him, I really felt like, oh shit, that's the player. Like he's going to be the one, and it didn't occur. But I just felt last season, that it was Ollie was. Like he's able to put together an 11. He's obviously able to give a playing style to the team and things like that. But and whatever the hell he says at half time, they should there should be TED Talks on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Happy United. But I just feel as if it was kind of a lot of it was to do with the more experienced players. Sorry, and Pogba obviously should run into that as well. Like that seemed to just they kind of took it upon themselves to just go, okay, we know what we're doing. We'll just do this,
Yeah. No, absolutely. No, you're absolutely spot on. People know my opinions on Donny van de Beek. I think when he came in, he didn't hit the ground running, and I believe even in the chances he did get, he didn't really shine at all for Man United. And absolutely that could be because he's not being. I don't think he suits the current Man United team. I said earlier.
Look at the times when he's come in, Greg, mate. He's never been playing with the A team, has he? And everyone expects him
there's
to
one
hit
game
the ground running.
Yeah, I suppose the one game that sticks out to me in terms of he came on and I was like, right, you've had a poor start, go and take this game by the scruff of the neck and show people what you can do, was when he came on when we were 4-0 up against Southampton. And that was the full team, and he came on at half time. And I couldn't tell you he played that second half. I just needed him. He doesn't need. People seem to think that I want him score and assist. He doesn't need to. He just needs to have a bit more presence about him and just take control of a game.
Saying that though, it kind of goes against what I just said. Then his best game, I mean, the pressure was off, was the Wolves game, last game of the season. I thought he was excellent in that game.
Absolutely,
and actually, the reverse game against Southampton away, I thought he was very good in that game when we came back and won 3-2 with Cavani's headed. He was. I think the problem with him is he's not used to being dropped, having played half decent like a lot of players. It's like when we played that Leicester game. Yeah. The one that caused all the controversy. That looked like 11 players who weren't on board with the Holly scheme of things. That's what it looked like, because they knew no matter how well they played, it wouldn't have made a difference. They wouldn't have got anywhere near the team for the Liverpool game. It didn't. It's like Eric Bailly when he was our best defender through the middle of the season, and then a big game against Liverpool comes around, he gets dropped. He gets dropped to the semi-final against City. As a player, you then come back in the team and you go, well, really, if I play well right now, it's not going to matter because he's not going to play me. Mm-hmm. So where's the players' heads at? And we had 11 of them against Leicester, apart from Greenwood, because they knew they were never going to play. He's got to mix it. He's got to learn. And that's why I said right now, he hasn't got time for a project player. It needs to be a Bruno. It needs to be a Pogba. It needs to be a Cavani. It needs to be that player of ilk to actually come in and be able to wear that shirt instantly and take to it like they have. And
that's why United are going to have to spend the big money. Because those are the players that cost the money.
I think we will. I know there's a lot of scepticism and things like that, obviously, with the Glazers and what's been going on, but I do believe that this is the most a board believe in a manager since Ferguson. They believe in Ole a lot more than they do Mourinho, and they believe in what he's building. They believe in a hell of a lot more than they did Van Gaal as well. I just think I think now he needs to be backed by the people aboard and up and on the board, obviously. And you're absolutely right, Adam. It needs to be a player that's set. It can't be a project player. That's why Diallo was sort of a weird signing for me, because unless Diallo was going to go out on loan, he wasn't going to improve greatly. He was going to get older and he was going to get minutes, but he was never going to become a superstar, because he's not that ready player. But I've seen Ollie get a lot of credit and things like that for being one of the few managers that's been able to sort of take last season and go this season's a weird season. We can push things to the side and get away with it and then work on it next year. Obviously, I had the shortened pre-season. I believe there was times throughout the season as well where they weren't allowed on the training pitch for different lengths of time, for the same amount of time as normal because of COVID and things like that going on. And then obviously they've had games postponed and stuff like that. So I think there's a lot that always had to deal with externally that maybe you wouldn't have to deal with in a normal season. But no, you're definitely right there.
What's made it worse for Ollie is Tuchel to come in and do what he did in 4 months with a team that was ninth.
That's what's made it worse for every manager in the top 6.
Yeah, it was just like, oh my God, every manager in the league, like Steve Seden's like, shit. It's like, how can you do that much with a team that was playing that bad? And we knew the players were good.
Yeah, but spent so much, hadn't they?
That defense was shocking.
But their top scorer had 7 goals, penalty taker. It just doesn't make any sense. It just does not make sense, But it's just when you like with Spurs when Pochettino came in, when you just get the right guy, it just clicks, I guess, I guess for Spurs, it did click in terms of like how we played, the playing style, and why we did so well, and just like we just fell short those couple of times. I mean, so like we had League Cup finals, we had the Champions League final, we came close in the league, but I think when it came time to then like do the rotating of the players, that's where we fell short. I mean, if you look at when Pochettino came into Spurs, we had like the club captain was Yunus Kabul. We had like Aaron Lennon and like Lewis Holtby, Paulinho, all these players who like weren't great like in around us. Like I was at AVB's last game. We lost 5-0 at home to Liverpool. Paulinho got sent off. I was in the best seat I was ever at in White Hart Lane. I was in row number 1, right behind the goal. It was pissing rain. I got soaked. I saw Suarez score a hat-trick. It was just, it couldn't have been any worse. But then, like, what the first thing Pochettino did when he came in was it didn't matter who you were. You were gone if you were a bad egg. So Yunus Kabul was the club captain, but he was known to be kind of troublesome in terms of like, like he had a bad attitude, was lazy, and that's all gone. He just ousted him. He didn't care. He was the captain. Aaron Lennon was a stalwart at the club. Doesn't matter. You complained about training, you were gone. And we cleared all the dead wood. Now, what that meant was, we didn't we had like a very average squad in the very first season. We made smart boys like Eric Dyer from Sporting and things like that to just shore up the team, built on that. So that's what we need now, is that clear out and the rebuild. The problem is that I don't believe a lot of the population of Spurs fans have the patience to start all over again in a 5-year project. The idea was when Pochettino came in is that we got a 5-year project, and then yes, fair enough. I think that what happened with Pochettino, everything happened way faster than we expected. We expected at the end of 5 years to then start challenging for Champions Leagues but in actual fact, we kind of got it ahead of time. But then he'd earned the right to get his rebuild. We didn't give it to him. And now I don't think Spurs fans want that. We're saying, do you know what? We want success now. And I think the board thought they'd get that out of Mourinho.
I think the way the managers are going at the moment, I think it's key. You can tell by the supporters, the ones who are happy are the ones who have got a good link from upstairs to the manager. It's like the Leicesters of this world, the Chelseas of this world. I mean, you look at the craziest appointment, which really isn't that crazy when you break it down, is Ancelotti going back to Real Madrid. It's because Perez knows that Ancelotti knows what he's like. Perez needs to have a say when it comes to Real Madrid and the football side of things. And Ancelotti knows this. And that, for me, is why he's gone back in. He could have been any one of the managers out there. And it's not surprised that Conte hasn't gone to Real Madrid for the actual reasons that I said earlier on, because he knows how it's run from the top. The link from the top to the manager at all the clubs with happy fans is clear. That's what's important. And Spurs, I think, are trying to find a manager right now who will listen to what happens upstairs as well. That's what I think. I think in a way, United have got that right now, because Ole really isn't. He knows he's not going to get another job after this, and he's not really going to say anything bad about the club. Ancelotti knows what Perez is like at Real Madrid. He has to have a say. He's worked with him before, and that to me, it made total sense when I worked it out. It was like, it's Zidane's final words were pretty much having a go at exactly that, about how much interference was going on. Yeah, and the link between that. And there's a lot. It's like City's owners. It's like, what do you want, Pep? There you go. Yeah, everyone's happy. It's happy families, isn't it? It's hard to find. More often than not, the businessmen are at the clubs that are making money. Spurs will make money. They've got businessmen in place. Yes, United, we were bought for a reason by businessmen, because we just plow. We just get through so much money. We just ooze money. Yeah. And every one of the other clubs who I'm talking about weren't exactly pulling up trees financially. You know what I mean? They weren't well run. Yeah. And look at who took them over. You know what I mean? I don't want to say it, but they're like playthings, aren't they? There's like massive, powerful, rich people and they can just throw whatever money they want at it. It's ridiculous. And in the end, unless you get that link right from top to manager and the sort of system in place, the staff in place, I don't think it will ever work. And it's just looking right now that there's some short-term fixes going on right now, I think, in managers. I think there really is. And let's just get through this first season, see if we can get some money back, normality back, fans in the stadium, and then we'll have a look again. I feel like there's another merry-go-round coming, and maybe a season later after the money's back in.
No, you're
absolutely. Because if you look at last season, I think last season is almost like a free pass for everyone. Exactly. Like you look like Ollie, for example. Would Ollie have survived a full normal season, full crowds, home, Jimmy clubs at home advantage, just that? Do you know what I mean? For sure, I think like Jose would have probably been gone by Christmas, which is what should have happened. You know, I think like if we were going to sack him, it should have been done then. Do you know? But at that time, I mean, like if you look at it, like beginning of December, so like we were top of the table. And then like it just fell apart after that. But I think next season is absolutely huge for every club because the pressure is back there. You're going to have the fans in the stadium, the atmosphere will be there, the tension will be there. You'll be able to tell. Like even when I was at those games, so I think it was Red Star Belgrade game I was at, and like Poch was there, and we were playing poorly at that time. This was like one of his last games, but like you could feel there was just an edge in the air. You like, you know, like you know yourself, and Adam, you're a season ticket holder, so you'll know you felt that time and time again in the stadium. Like it's just it's palpable there, you know. And I think a good few managers got away with one last season. You know, 100%. But then again,
like prime example, would Ancelotti have got away with his home form in front of them Everton fans?
No.
I mean, I think his name was carrying him a bit last season. I mean, what did he? Where did he finish the season before? 7th. Where did he finish?
Would they have had that home form if there were fans there?
7th, 8th.
You know,
they've not improved. They've not improved.
There's a lot of teams that haven't improved sort of over the last 12 months, and it certainly will be interesting to see where Man United and where Spurs are a year from now.
Yeah, I don't think it's a loss for Everton losing Ancelotti at all.
No, me neither. I think if they can get a progressive coach in and someone young, that their links with I always forget his name, but the boy from Lille to come in. I never remember his name, but he's done well. Obviously, he won the league over in France, so he has done really well. It'll be interesting to see, especially even sort of like 4 or 5 weeks time if we're sat here doing this show and we're looking at a completely different outlook. Hopefully, you would think Spurs will have a manager by then, Everton will have a manager by then, and you would imagine Conte will have a job somewhere. You'd imagine Zidane would probably have a job somewhere as well. So it'll certainly be interesting to see. Moving on to the football that's on from tomorrow for the next month. We're going to talk about the Euros a little bit. Just obviously it's due to kick off tomorrow. Italy versus Turkey, I believe, is the first game on. England's first game is Sunday, and the mighty Scotland's first game is on Monday night. So coming to Steve first, are you looking forward to the Euros, Steve? Who do you think is going to win? A few.
Sadly, I don't have a horse running in the race for it, but like, and I'm not one of those like Irish others. It's just like I don't care who wins as long as it's not fucking England, you know.
Yeah.
But no, like I guess over the years I kind of had like a bit of an affinity towards England in tournament football because there was always like 4 or 5 Tottenham players in the England squad, and that for me is even another mark. I said it on Twitter there recently. It's another measure of how our squad like has degraded over the seasons. Is that like Harry Kane is now the only Spurs player in the England squad, whereas like the Spurs were always like, no matter how bad Spurs were, like there was still always like a couple of players from Spurs, and because we always had a strong English contingent. So I guess I've always had an affinity towards England. Like my thoughts are, if Harry Kane like lifts the trophy for England, maybe that might keep him at Spurs for another year because he's had the taste of success.
Yeah,
and it might just keep the taste in his mouth for another season. But I think like I'm interested to see how Turkey play. I think they maybe dark horses at the tournament. They have the youngest squad there, but like players like Yilmaz and things like that. Like, I mean, I do believe they could cause trouble. But if I was putting money on, it would be France.
Yeah, no, I'm the exact same. I think France.
The depth and the quality they have is just
unbelievable. What about yourself, Adam? What are you thinking for the Euros? Looking forward to proper football.
I just put a comment in there. If my screen goes off, it's because I haven't got my charger from the laptop, and it made us just go boom at any point. But yes, getting into the Euro. Interesting, Steve said there. I think it's probably one tournament or two too soon for that progressive Turkey squad. I mean, everyone knows. I've got a lad who's from Turkey. He's got Turkish family, and Zeki, who comes on my channel, raves about the quality that's coming through at the moment, and he's right. But for me, you can't look past Portugal. Keane's has come in there. I mean, I looked at it the other day. I was looking at the players, and I'm thinking, yeah, you got your Ronaldo's there, you got your Jota, you got your Bruno, and then I'm going, hang on, you got Felix, you got Diaz. I mean, Christ, and I'm going, this has some quality and depth in this squad right now. I know they were poor against Spain in the friendly the other day, but you know that winning, that attitude that Bruno's got, that moaning, that sort of slime ball attitude that we all love when you've got that player on your pitch.
It's the swagger.
There's 11 of them. There's 11 of them. It's a winning mentality. It is. They are born and bred to win things. They're born winners. You can see it in the mentality. Look at the best players in the world right now. There's loads of it. Look at Diaz, how much he's changed City's defence. You know, one of the best fullbacks in the world in Felix. And Bruno coming through. Ronaldo, one of the greatest we've ever seen. I just feel like, and I hate Jota. I just despise him, man, because he's so good against United. But he has got some quality. That guy is a very, very clever player. A very clever player. I went to every single game that United played against Wolves since they've been promoted. I hate the place because of him. I hate him. He's just that good. And I knew he'd score for Liverpool. I knew he'd score for Liverpool against us. But France, I don't know. There's a little bit of unrest in the squad, isn't there, at the moment with Mbappe and Giroud and stuff and all that. I just feel like, could this be one of the shocks that that great France team don't go as far as they should? Is that the shock of the tournament?
Yeah, and
it wouldn't be the first time it's happened in France either, wouldn't it? Didn't France?
Exactly.
Was it the Euros or World Cup where they didn't even go to the groups?
World Cup,
against Senegal in the first game, the World Cup, when they got beat and they never recovered. I just feel like Portugal just stand out to me. They really do. I'm never going to write the Germans off, obviously, but I just feel like that winning mentality, the Portuguese. I expect England to get to the semi-finals at least.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
With that quality squad.
Yeah. I think did Southgate not say that if they don't get to the semi-finals?
Yeah, Southgate said it's a failure. It's a failure if we don't get to the semi-final. I'm happy with him saying that. I think that's standards there. We've got ridiculous amount of players, good players. I mean, the defence doesn't look sharp, but past that, it's scary. It really is. There's just an abundance of talent.
Giroud was 40-1 to win the Golden Boot at the Euros, by the way, and I think that's 40-1, and I think that's a mad outside bet. Like it just, you look at him the other night, like he always seems to know where to be, and he's the guy. Like if
I think he's he's a goal every other game, isn't he, for France?
It's crazy. It's crazy. He's 6 goals off, I think, breaking the record for France.
He's right up there.
I think he is.
He's right up there.
Yeah, so
definitely.
It wouldn't surprise me to see him come away with the Golden Boot of the Euros.
It's an outside bet, isn't it? He finds a way to score goals, like you said. But I think, I think they're both good.
Like front posts, it's just like Cavani. Like he doesn't have the pace of many frontmen, but he doesn't need it because like where other players will just gain their yard from like just out and out pace and burst of speed. Like Giroud is just wise.
Yep.
You know, so
he knows where the ball's going to be, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He knows. He just knows he's been that experienced. But no, I think I'm going to agree with Steve that I think France will win it. I think the final could be France-Portugal. I'm quite upset that they're in the same group because obviously it could be a case that one of them crashes out, and I feel like that's a final that we deserve to be able to watch again, especially with that new look know at Portugal side. But no, obviously I'm going to be rooting for Scotland as much as I can. I don't know where we'll finish really. I expect us to get out of the group. I said to Keane on the show last week that I genuinely think Scotland will go unbeaten in that group. I've just got a feeling that we will. Whether it's 3 draws, whether it's a win and 2 draws, I don't know. I just don't think we'll be losing because we are playing good football. But I'll be happy with a round of 16 exit. I'm happy that we're there, first of all. But I'll certainly be happy with a round of 16 exit. So Adam, you're definitely going England. Do you reckon semi-final has to be?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said. I mean, the fact that they've rolled that round of 16 in for the first time, it's what is it? 4 of the third place teams in the group get through as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no way that the big guns are not getting through. It's like that group of death. You just know that the other team's just going to scrape through in third place. I think that's why they've done it. I think it just opened it up. But yeah, I do fancy Scotland to get through the group. I do. I think they're better than Czech Republic.
We are. Yeah.
I do think they are better than the Czech Republic.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're ranked 60th in the world right now, Czech Republic. So I do think there's a chance there. England, I think as long as you don't lose that first game, it's like the oldest saying, isn't it? But a draw or a win, don't get too far behind, then sort of grow into the tournament. Yeah. It's only Germany who set off like a steam train every single year. I think it's only them that do it. Everyone else starts to warm up when the group stages are finished. Yeah. Germany's just set off like a steam train.
Used to level up, like it was just unreal. But I think it's England absolutely have the potential to win it. Like I absolutely believe that. When you look at the quality of players that are there, I think like if the only thing that's stopping England from winning it is Southgate. I really like. I think he's really well spoken. I really like him as an international level manager. He's a great example to set that he's very professional in that. But
Keen's bitterness is showing right now. Keen's bitterness is showing right through right now. I'm telling you.
I think his personality is very like kind of like dull and kind of like, you know. So I think with that, then he kind of that's his team's style as well. I mean, the 5 at the back, the very defensive play, 2 holding midfielders as well. Like, you know, when you've got such quality of players there, I think if he has a real go, England could really, really do well there.
It's like that in that dire game against Romania. As soon as we went to 1 holding midfielder and we played with 2 more attacking midfielders in front, it's a game changer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I say it so many times. Locate your balls and put them back in the sack and just get out there and play to your strength. Yeah. It's the only way you're going to win. It's the only way you're going to win. It's the way the under-21s and under-18s and how they won their tournaments. You just play with no fear. Yeah. You play with fear and you look at the opposition. So, I mean, look at the players. The midfield is just beyond.
What front 3 do you want, Adam?
Sorry?
Yeah. What front 3 do you want?
Honestly, I'm a United man, but I wouldn't play Rashford.
No, I wouldn't either.
But then again, you do need to have pace because everyone else is a come to the ball man. Kane will come to the ball. I think Sterling does. He likes to come to the ball. Grealish, Foden, all these players, they like to have the ball at the feet. I think Rashford's the only real runner over the top. Mm-hmm. So you do have to have a bit of balance. So
I agree.
His form, I don't think he deserves to be in, but I think he's going to play him simply because he has got that electric pace, which is something different. Yeah. So Rashford left, Kane in the middle, on the right. I'm going to go for United's new boy, Sancho.
Cold, I don't think
I've seen so many like England 11s like that people are putting up on Twitter and things, and it's like Grealish, Mount, Foden, all this. Like everybody's like forgetting like pacing behind. I mean, you know, those guys are so incredibly talented on the ball. It's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. But like, if you've not got someone who's going to like beat a defender for pace or get in and around behind, it's pointless, you know. And again, it's and especially if it's Southgate who's going to play the holding midfielders and he's going to play 3 centre backs. So you've got 3 centre backs, you've got 2 holding midfielders, and then if you've got like your wingers who aren't really wingers, you know, they're ball players. I mean, you're stumping yourself. Like, and Kane then, who's probably going to drop a bit. Again, you're not getting yourself like, especially if Kane like is to play for England like he did for Spurs this season, and he drops back like that. If you've got a Sterling or a Rashford either side making that run across, and Kane's going to pick him out with those passes, I mean, I think it could be lethal for England.
Yeah, guys, I'm going to have to shoot off because I just have a warning now from the laptop.
That's all good for the end of the show anyway. I think we'll leave it there. So, yeah, Adam, before your laptop shuts out, do you want to give yourself a quick shout out?
Yeah, just type in Adam Matic, Adam Matic TV on YouTube, Adam Matic 31 on Instagram, and Adam Matic on Twitter. Simple as that. You'll see my ugly mush just pop up. That's me. Say hello, and come and have a session of real football talk where it's just straight to the point. Really upset a lot of people.
What about yourself, Steve? Anything you want to shout out?
Really. So that's my handle on Twitter or Instagram, and you can catch me on Pure Radio Tip. That's at Pure Radio Tip or pureradio.ie every Monday to Friday, 4 to 7.
Perfect, guys. Oh, it says my handle's there at Greg_D_Chambers. Thank you very much for joining us on the first episode of the Talk of the Week podcast. We'll be back next week to discuss more about the other teams up and down the league.
Yes, guys, pleasure.
Well.